Right, welcome everybody. Today we'll be talking about weekly reviews in Roam. So Roam is great to use in many use cases. Today we're just going to be talking about one, which is doing our weekly reviews. So in Getting Things Done, which is one of those quintessential books about productivity in general, I would say, David Allen talks about the weekly review and tells it that it's going to sharpen your intuitive focus on your most important projects as you deal with the flood of new input and potential distractions coming you at the rest of the week. So mostly the most important thing in week reviews is capturing everything that you have done in your week, and as well planning the next week of what are you going to try to achieve, because there's only a limited time to doing everything that you want to do. And so what ends up happening with most people in terms of a weekly review is that they think it's a comprehensive life review that requires hours and hours of intense introspection. And this is something that happened to me in the past, that I tried to do such a big, massive type of weekly review that would just be about everything that was in my life. And that would take hours sometime, probably like almost all my afternoon on a Friday or sometimes on a Sunday when I would do it. And this is not the right way I found to do a weekly review. What you want to do instead is capture everything that you want to do for the next week. That's all there is for this part. The part of the weekly review, there are many parts to it, I guess I would say, but I do, for example, clear my inbox, look at my calendar, all that stuff. But for Roam specifically, what I want is a quick check-in to give me clarity for the upcoming week. So that means 3 steps, which is to review what I've done in my week, and then to update my tasks, and then decide on my priorities for the week ahead. So there's other steps that you can do, cleaning up your files, managing your email, and so on. But for Roam specifically, you're going to focus on this important part of the weekly review. So I'm quite curious as well where you are doing this right now. Before, when I started out, I would do this in Google Docs, then I switched to Evernote, then I did in Notion, and I found out after much trial and error, I must say, that Roam is really the best software to do this. There's no right software, I would say, but for me specifically, Roam was the option that worked the best. Just because it is so easy to capture everything and then also make all the connections that I need to make. And so let's just put the chat back here. All right. So we are here in the Zettelkasten that I showed you last week, this database, which obviously is not my own Roam. It's just for this sessions. And basically there are a couple of things that I want to do in my weekly review. And so again, because we don't have much time in our week, but still we want to capture everything and then know what to do next week. There's only a couple steps that we need to do. The first thing that I like to focus on in my weekly reviews are wins. Now, why are starting with wins so important? Because most often our weeks just go so fast that we forget about everything that we achieve on a specific week. And so here on wins, what I try to do is detail everything that went really, really well in terms of milestones that I might achieve in my business, in my work, or things that I'm generally proud of. It doesn't need even to be metrics of success. It could just be something that really made my day. So in wins, for example, for me, I would say right now I have my YouTube channel. So for example, I've crossed a milestone, the milestone of 600 subs, right? So this is something that it's very helpful to me. And I'm very grateful. So now what I want you to do is create a new page. We've learned that in the last week session, which is weekly review. Then probably put the date. Today is 19th of March. And then you're going to create a new page, right? So just head over there. If you want, you can also, just a reminder, do that over here, where you're just going to create weekly review and then 1903, then select all of that, and then put the double brackets, and that is going to create a new page. Either way is fine. I just prefer to create it over there. So I'm going to open that, and then first type your wins. I'm going to put that as a header 2, And then I want you to list for the next 2-3 minutes, just list everything that was a good win for you in your week. So open your Roam, go do that right now. So I'm gonna list here, let's say, gratefulness. This is kind of what are we trying to achieve in this first part. So yes, write it down. So I'm gonna write mine. So if you want to chuck some of your wins in the chat, that would be nice. I like to start again with gratefulness, because it makes me kind of like look at my week with some perspective. There's always the tasks that you do, the things that you need to do next. But it's nice for me specifically, to start with thinking, what am I grateful for this week? And this could be anything, could be milestones that you're achieving. So for example, this one is kind of a metrics milestone, I would say. But this one, there's no milestone there. I mean, I'm just grateful. It was a good day. Don't need to detail everything metrics wise. And then what I like to do is also put some references here. So in my main Roam database, this would be linked. I would have this page called the YouTube channel. Here I don't, but still I could do double brackets here. For now, it's going to create a new page. And then it would be nice, because if I go there into the YouTube channel in a while, I'll see all the wins, right? It's my birthday, made a lot progress. Probably will also link this, right? And you can even nest things, right? Nesting, remember we learned this last week, so we've crossed 600 subs. So just journal a little bit if you want about why that's a good milestone for you. So for example, let's just stop the timer here. Lots of people have been commenting on the videos and finding them very valuable. So for me as a creator and then entrepreneur, I really value that people email me, for example, when I send an email newsletter on Monday, and people just reply saying, like, your content, good job. So the same happens when people comment on the YouTube videos, right? For me specifically, that's very nice, because there's somewhere in the world, someone was touched by a video that I record. That is very valuable to me. It has no metric whatsoever. But do you guys want to chuck some of your wins into the chat? If it's very personal, that's fine. So that is the first part, wins. As you see, it takes me about 5 minutes. 5 minutes to just list everything that was a win. The second thing that I like to do is the actual review of my week. And there are 3 parts to this. So I'll just say review of my week. Gonna do as H2. There are 3 parts for this. Again, I've tried many systems over the years, longer, shorter. What really worked for me was something that was kind of in between, not a lot to do, but still enough to capture everything. And that is called the plus, minus, and then next. Plus, and then here, a minus, and then I like to use an arrow. I actually learned this on Nest Labs. You should check her out. Nest Labs, good website. So, H3 is here, And now you're actually listing tasks. So on plus, everything that went well on your week. On minus, everything that you struggle with, or perhaps you could have done a little bit better. And then on next, what are you going to capture for next week? Now, how do I do this? Again, this is not my database in Rome, but because I write and I journal in Rome every day, I can go back, I can open here on the side my daily notes, right? And I would go through all the days. Let's actually open the weekly review on the side here. This is how I actually do it. And then I can go on the days and see what I've achieved. So for example, let's say that on March 16, I would write, I've published a new video to the YouTube channel. So this is something I actually did on my main database. I published 10 life lessons from the journey to year 31, right? So life lessons, year 31. Again, I'm going to tag this to the YouTube channel, right? And so when I would go here on my weekly review, plus, let's say that I have the metric of publishing 3 videos a week. So I would say, yes, I published 3 new videos this week, which was according to my plan. And probably I would just list down all the videos that I published, life lessons from year 31. I also published the productivity desk, I believe. And then yesterday was the 7 procrastination techniques. Or let's just call it 7 anti-procrastination techniques. Right, so that's a plus of something that I said I was going to do, and I did. And then you just continue listing. So if you want, what you could do if you have different areas of your life or different projects or different things that you want to do, you can even nest them underneath. So just say YouTube, and then you could say, this is video publishing. And this is probably like some wins that you had in here, right? Some tasks that you did that went according to plan. So how that works, something inside YouTube as well, right? So for example, I updated all the descriptions on all videos. I actually didn't do that. I need to do that next week, but that's an example, right? So open your Rome as well. Go review of my week, or just call it review. Simply call it review. And then plus, write according to areas if you want, everything that went well on your week. Now this sounds very simple to do, and it is, but most of the time what happens is we don't make the time to write these things down, to capture these open loops. You can even say recordings, right? So I recorded what was the name of it? How I move faster. I think I call it focus work, right? Then we have like scripts, right? Birthday vlog. So are you guys good? Should we go on? Faster you can do this. Just first thing that comes to mind. Is there a particular task that you're really proud of, that you achieved this week? More than a win, just something that you actually set down. to do. Then we go on to minus. We go into minus. So what didn't go according to plan? We said we were going to do something, but then we didn't do it. And then in this part, it's really important for me to first list here what we didn't do, or in this case, what I didn't do, and then why I didn't do it. My struggles, right? What are the problems here? So I'll give you an example. I said I was gonna record 3 videos, I think 4 videos actually, this week, but only recorded 2. Actually recorded 2 and then the vlog, which is 3, but I don't count that as a video. So why was that a problem? It's very simple. There's a building next to me that is in construction. And yesterday I was gonna sit down to record, and the minute I sat down, they started construction. It was very sad. But it is outside my control. It's external. So is there something that I can correct next time? So first, construction in the building next to me. How can I fix this for next time so I don't repeat this mistake? So the first thing would be to test if the sound can be heard on the recording, for example, right? Is it actually a problem that they're doing construction next to me? Because I have my window closed, like maybe it's not even a problem. Or the second thing is probably record early morning instead. Let's just say 8 a.m. Right? And you just try to come up with solutions of the minus things. So first, what is the problem? What didn't you do? You said we were going to do this, but you didn't. Why was this a problem? And then you try to find a couple of solutions. If you still want to do this next week, if this is still a valuable task for you, how are you going to solve this? Right? Keep listing them. So again, oops, sorry about that. So again, way to do this in Rome. If you're here, you can just hit Shift Tab to go back twice, and then you can write something there. So what did you struggle this week? What was something that you said you were gonna do, but then you didn't? Just check in the chat. Also, to be fair, I said I was gonna record, or actually I plan to record 3 videos on Tuesday, but only recorded 2. Now, this was a problem because it was my birthday. Oops. And I had a party at 6:30. So this was kind of like bad time management on my part. Then I thought I was able to do videos much faster, but because they were explainer videos, it took much longer. So perhaps the lesson here is that for explainer videos, assume they take 1 hour and not 45 minutes. Let's even say 1 hour and a half. Let's just open this on the side here, close that. Easier to see. There's nothing I can do about that my birthday here, so probably not worth it. Just good that whenever I have another commitment. So probably I'm gonna say lock in 2-3 hours if I want to record 3 videos. can depend for me in the kind of video that I want to do. You'll know best what works for you. But here on the minus, we're all trying to find solutions, to find workarounds, because these tasks are still valuable, right? I'm going to continue recording videos. Now, the second part is if there's a task that is not really valuable. So here is a task that is not valuable. It's not going to make it to our next, right? And so it helps to think about what changed since you planned this task. Why is this not valuable anymore? Right? So for example, I was working on a new plan for YouTube, and I spent lots of time thinking about this. Probably spend like a morning and then half an afternoon thinking about this. And then I dropped it. And the reason for this is I think it's still too early to tell. Not enough data, right? But this task is not immediate to me. It's not for the next, which is literally just next week, but it's probably something that I want to follow through at some point in the future. And so here I like to use the date picker. So when do I think this is valuable? When I have enough data. That's going to probably take a while. So I'm going to put a reminder here at the end of May. Make sure I pick a Friday. So probably there, the 28th of May. And so remember from last week's workshop, if you've seen that, you can actually navigate to the future and see that reminder. So if I go to my daily notes, you'll see that in the top that has changed to a calendar, right? Because this is the daily note page. And now I can navigate to May the 28th, and I'll see here that under my weekly review of 19, I said I was working on a new plan for YouTube, and this was not valuable for me now, but it's valuable on May the 28th. So on May the 28th, when I do this exercise of weekly review, this will be a to-do or sort of a reminder to my future self. And there are two ways that you can do this. You can do this in the minus, if that's something immediately under the minus, that you're working as something you're struggling with. Or if you have a new idea that you haven't really worked on it this week, and you also don't want to work on the next week, something that your mind is thinking that you should do, but not immediately. And so that will be in the next part. So in the next, we are thinking of looking at the plus and looking at the minus and see what we have to do next week. And at this point, it's really helpful as well to open your calendar and to see first, what are the things that are already scheduled in your calendar? So what do you have already in your calendar, right? There's only a limited amount of time that you have to do things. And if you have already a lot of things scheduled, you won't have a lot of time to do your tasks. So that is the first thing. What do you have already in your calendar? Then what you want to ask yourself is, are the tasks that I said I was going to do next week that I already scheduled in my calendar, do I still want to do them? Can I defer something? Do I need to eliminate something, right? Does it still make sense to do them? So spend a few minutes going through your calendar. And here's what you're trying to do. No, that means you got to eliminate something. If it still makes sense, yes, that's good. You're going to write that next. You're going to see, it's like doctor's appointments, like you can't really reschedule, for example, right? You got to do that. So yes, that's good. If you were unsure, we'll cover that in a second. Open your calendar. Look at next week. I actually like to use 2 weeks. I'll look at the next 2 weeks. Now, it's very frightening to eliminate a task or to delete something from your calendar, especially when there are other people involved. And a good example is a meeting, right? If you have a meeting, but you don't really want to attend, is there a way that you can reframe that? So for example, can you turn a meeting into an email or a phone call or a different time? a time that works best for you. What I like to do here is kind of rearrange things. So for example, I know that late in the afternoon, I don't have that much energy anymore. So I try to rearrange things in a way that works for my energy levels, if that makes sense. So early mornings, I really protect it. It's golden time for me. And then try to do meetings. I schedule them ahead of time now in the afternoon, but if I see maybe I made a mistake, can I reschedule it into a little bit at a later time? You know best what is for you, but that is the main idea behind this. If it makes sense to do them and they're already in your calendar, that's good, but that means there's limited time for you now, right? You can only work around the things that you already have scheduled in your calendar. If you are unsure, is there a way to delay a decision? Can you reschedule? And then finally you get to the tasks that you want to do that are not in your calendar. So here you are listing everything that you still want to do, looking at your plus, looking at your minus, especially the minus. Is there something that you avoided doing this week? Can you schedule it for next week and what that is? And a good example for me is something that I should have done today. Didn't have the time. It's kind of an error in the description of the videos. And so now, what I like to do here, again, is go into the date picker. Now this is quite important, so probably gonna do it Monday. Now, why do I use Rome for this instead of my calendar? The reason is simple. On my calendar, it goes the things that have to happen at a very specific time frame. So I use that for two types of things. The first type is creative work. So if I'm doing a video, if I'm creating a blog post, if I'm doing a presentation for these workshops, those kinds of things, there's like focus blocks in my calendar. But then other small things that I have to do throughout my days, I use the date picker to remind me. So they're updating all the descriptions on the videos doesn't need to happen at a specific time frame. It just needs to happen at that day or at least that week. And so again, if I go to my daily notes, the calendar, I navigate to March the 22nd. When I open Rome on March the 22nd, there will be this reminder, update all the descriptions on the videos. And what I like to do here is actually put this as a to-do. So we learned that last week, Command, Shift, and then Enter, and you have a to-do. You can also just do /to-do, right? Update all the descriptions. And remember, there's a to-do here, and you can see all the to-dos that you have to do. If you don't have that in your shortcuts, what you can do is just go here, find or create page, and just hit to-do, and you'll navigate to this page. So now, do your to-dos. Just list everything that you want to do next week. That doesn't need to happen at a specific time frame, but needs to be done next week. Now, when you're looking at your calendar, and this is more a thing that happens to me a lot, and hopefully to you too, I tend to overschedule myself. I'm kind of like the optimistic. So I'll say, yeah, I can record 3 videos in 2 hours. So what I'll do is I'll do blocks of 2 hours for 3 videos, and then it ends up taking 4 hours, or I just do 1 video. So in this moment in time, when I'm doing next, Daniel from the present is a very optimistic guy. Daniel from the future, when he actually sits down and does the work, curses Daniel from the past because he thought that was possible in that time frame. So what I keep in mind when I'm doing next is adding buffer time. Basically, this is me protecting my optimistic self. So what I'll do is, and I did this automatically here. When I said, when I said I was gonna do maybe 45 minutes, an hour, I immediately changed to 1.5 hours, right? Why is that? Because I know that if I say 1 hour, it's probably not going to be 1 hour, and just being a little bit too optimistic. So that is the thing to keep in mind when you're doing the next. If that happens to you a lot, adding buffer time is really important. So for example, here, update all the descriptions on all videos. Daniel from the present, which is a super productive guy, says, no, I can do this in about 1 hour. Now, I know this is not really what's going to happen. This is probably going to be a 2 hour, maybe a 3 hour job. Because this is kind of a manual thing to do, another productivity hack that I kind of like to employ here is that I'll think, okay, when I actually get to the task, let's try to do this as fast as we can. So let's try to beat the clock. So if I say 2 hours, but I actually think it's 3, I try to beat the clock of the 2 hours. It works for kind of manual tasks. If it's some sort of creative work, it kind of ends up rushing, so that's no good. But it works a lot for manual kind of unskilled, let's just call it that, tasks. So adding buffer time would probably mean here 2 hours for the descriptions. Now, what else do I need to do? Probably need to do slides for 30 days, actually 90 days. Could do that. And now I have the page because that's something I referenced before. Now let's break this one down because this is kind of a big task. What we want to do is just do the next action. Just clarify what exactly means the steps of the next action. So now here I'm just saying slides, which is kind of like presentation for this workshop, right? Good to rephrase with the verb, create presentation for that course. Now, what does that mean specifically? Because just create a presentation has many, many steps. And so what I like to do in Next as well is detail all the steps. And now you sort of have like a project do list, right? Again, so I'll do a to do. And so here I'll say, okay, what is the first thing that I'll need to do? The first thing is probably figuring out how many sections we need. And then based on that, again, a to do section X, and then repeat for the number of sections that there are. So +1, +2. So now I'm detailing that presentation that I need to do. But then this is just the text, right? So probably this is the text that we're gonna need. So I can nest all of this under here. Then after the text, I'll probably need images, or let's just call it design actually. So this is information and this is design. So then design, we need kind of use a template. Design a template, right? That is a to do. And then find images that fit our design branding. So like for me, that would be illustrations actually. So now I'm detailing this entire process, right? Design a template, find images that fit our design branding. Then I probably want to think about user experience in terms of the presentation as well, right? User experience. So chapter prompts. Then how can I involve? So probably this is idea generation, or in this case, generate ideas. How can I make sure that people are, what is the word here? How can I make sure that people are connecting on the workshop? So now I have 3 sections. And you can do this whenever you have the kind of project. Now, let's just say that this part design was probably at the future date. So for example, next week, I would only want to do the information. So I want to figure the text that it actually goes into the presentation. And then the design, again, you just use the date picker. So probably like, I want to be reminded of this actually next week, week review, and this as well. Date picker, the 26th. Could either tag both of them, or if you want, you could just tag a date here for information. And let's just say the 22nd. And then you would use this as the tag, this date as the tag here. And now you don't need the two tags there. Just a different taxonomy, I guess, but I kind of prefer using that because this is the second part of the project and this is something that I only need to do next week. And again, I reference everything in the Fridays because it will be a reminder when I'm actually doing the weekly review. I basically have already some of the notes of what I knew I need to do next, right? So that is plus minus next journaling. Very quick, very simple. You can collapse everything, remember? Review, wins. And then there's only the third part, last part of the journey here, which is journaling, actually H2. And now this is free flow journaling. Now I've debated a little bit if I should give prompts that you could use here, but I've decided against it because everybody knows what's best for them. A couple that work for me. Actually, it's a 0. How was my energy this week? That works really well for me. And now I'm gonna nest here and I'm just gonna write a little bit about that. Anything goes here. You can do this by hand. I do also have a notebook that I like to do journaling in, but it's very nice to just jot down a little bit in Rome. And because you're jotting down everything in Rome, you can actually connect by tagging with other notes that you have. Another thing that I like to journal, what was a great piece of content this week? We consume so much information of articles, podcasts, TV shows. What was one thing that you really liked this week? The best of these ideas that I put here, the best idea normally comes on the 5 Bullet Monday. And now I'm just capturing all the loops, right? I'll go through my bookmarks. I'll go through everything that I saved on a specific day and see why did that piece resonate with me so much, right? So probably here you write the title of that, or the name, I guess. And then free flow journaling of why it made an impact. And I give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, I read Obvious to You, Amazing to Others, right? This is by Derek Sivers. So what you can do actually is link. So select that, Command C, and then you can actually link. The way to do that is you can either, I think you can go here. The way I do it is Command K because it opens the link. And now I've saved that. Now, I read this piece many years ago, but only now it connected to me in a deeper level. Why? Because although I don't think I know a lot, I'm often baffled by other people telling me that my articles or videos, I don't want to say change their life, but probably made their week or probably made an impact would be, right? So you got me thinking, what are other things that I know that might seem obvious to me, but amazing to others? We all have those kinds of things. My girlfriend the other day was opening up a banana, and she discovered recently that the banana is supposed to be peeled from the other side. She told me that, very excited. And I told her, yes, I know. Obvious to me, amazing to others. Very silly example, but what are the things that I know that might seem obvious to me but amazing to others? As a creator, this is my job, probably. Distilling what I can teach other people so they improve their productivity, so that they work a little bit smarter. And probably the weekly review is a good example of this. This is something that I've been doing for years, and for everyone that has joined Zero to Done, they know this. But are other people actually doing them, or just a good idea? How can I make this simple so that it's probably done in about 30 minutes, right? So that I can actually do it every single week. And then you just free flow journaling about this. Actually bold this. How is my energy? There are so many other prompts that you can use. If you have specific ones that you like to journal, that is very good. Now, I would say this. If I'm running a little bit tight on time, I'll do the wins and I'll do the review very fast. And sometimes I skip the journaling. But I'll also say this. The journaling is probably the most insightful part of my weekly review. So I try not to skip them a lot and try to get a lot of time available for the review. Because in the wins, you're just going through the motions of everything, that milestones that you achieved, right? In the review, you're just saying, okay, I did this, I did that, now I need to do. It's kind of robotic a little bit. And the journaling is where you let your inner self a little bit make all the connections that you want to make, right? For example, here in my energy, I slept very bad on Monday. And if I do lots of reviews that I see I slept very bad on a Monday, or I slept badly, I guess, on a Monday, is there a specific reason where my brain automatically thinks, why is this happening specifically on a Monday? Brains distill patterns that you don't really think about. And unconsciously, your brain will start to pick up these patterns, right? And in terms of piece of content, this is probably where I get most of my ideas. So now I'm just letting my creative brain, just writing everything down and helping it make the connections. So is there a specific prompt that you like to use in your journaling? If you use prompts, is there a specific prompt that you like to use? What am I avoiding? Absolutely. Good one. So bold it there. Right. I'll tell you one. I avoid sitting down to record it. Happens to me a lot. I procrastinate a lot. One of the ways that I do this, and that was the topic of last video, is I just start getting a little bit of things. So I put the lights and then I put the camera, just small things that I do. It's like, all right, now let's just put the microphone. Now, so that's how I solve this. Now, if I go into the deeper root, why am I avoiding sitting down? I am probably based on fear of what people will say. I'm afraid that, let's just put this a little bit down, what I'm producing is not valuable. And yeah, on not the topic of this, but what I like to do is an exercise called fear setting. So let's go into that. This is the article I wrote a while back about fear setting. It's based on the 4-hour work week, very good exercise to do. I'll just put a link here. So probably, yeah, I'm just gonna link that. What am I avoiding? Very good prompt. Yeah. Then I would probably journal. Why do I think this is not valuable? Not valuable? Is this true? What will people say? Like, what's the worst thing people will say? Can I live with that? Another one, this comes from, what am I finding joy? Sounds a little bit silly in terms of a question, but it comes from The Life-Changing Magic of Cleaning Up, actually, which is not really a book about minimalism or cluttering or decluttering, but more about, I guess, for me, the way I interpret it, just finding joy in things. And in the book specifically is applied to things, clothes and materialistic possessions. But I do think on a bigger scale, it also applies to work. So what am I finding joy? I actually enjoy very much recording these workshops. I don't care how many people show up. I'm happy to be connecting with people. And there's another double benefit, is that there is a specific time, because there is kind of a deadline. I will need to prepare, and I'll need to make sure that is valuable. So this is the second one. And yeah, I've been enjoying doing workshops. Let's do more of those, as long as they're valuable. I do understand that like time frames are not ideal, and there's lots of things going on, but yeah, record and then upload to YouTube so other people can see it when it's more convenient. Right, and that's everything that I do in my weekly review. There is a way that you can turn this into a template, and the way to do this is I like to create like a page, new page, templates, right? And then what you do here is just say weekly review. And now you create the 3 tags. So wins, review, journaling, and review, you have the plus, the minus, and the next. And now you just need to put here that. Let's go back. I believe I have this in my, let's see, on the side. And now if you do the curly brackets, not curly brackets, what do you call these? Parentheses. You do those twice. Oops. And then you just call the name of that weekly review. Then you enter, and you'll see first that it only shows the weekly review, which is the top on the hierarchical. And then what you can do is click on it and say apply children as text. And now there's a template for you every single week. So for example, if I go into week review, was it the 26th? Oops. And then I just do parentheses, weekly review, enter, click again on it, apply children as text, and now the template is already there. And if you want to change at a specific point, like if you want to do prompts here, what am I avoiding, right? So you'll see that it appear there. What am I avoiding? And so that's a very easy way to save the template that you want to use. And you can, and you should apply this the way that works best for you. So for example, if you find that most of your wins, or most of what you like to do in the weekly review is journaling, and you want to put more prompts here, you should. If you don't want to list your wins because you don't think that's good enough, or like you don't want to start with that, you want to start with the review, change the order, you can, and you only have to do it once. If you want, you can even save this page templates onto your shortcuts so that when you have new templates, it's very easy to navigate that page. And the way to do that is just going to the page and then click on the star, and the templates will be here on the left side. So for example, if I go into my daily note and I click there, then there's the templates. Right, so that's everything. As you see, it was a little bit slow, just a little bit, I guess an hour, but because I was explaining things, but mostly this entire process takes about 30 minutes, 45 minutes at the most, if you're journaling a little bit. All right, thank you so much for everyone that was here. I hope that was insightful and that helped you craft your weekly reviews a little bit better. And I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye-bye.